There comes a time when everything in your life seems to go quiet, no movement, no answers, no breakthrough. The promises you once believed begin to feel like distant dreams. You pray and it feels like the heavens are silent. You fast and nothing changes. Fast and nothing changes. You cry out in the midnight hour, but still, no door opens. You start to wonder if you were forgotten, left behind, or somehow disqualified. But I'm here to tell you today, God has not forgotten you. You are not being buried. You are not being buried. You are being planted. When it looks most impossible, that's when heaven is getting ready to move. When your strength has run dry, that's when the power of God begins. When you've done all you can do and you're standing with nothing left but tears and trust, you're in the perfect place for a miracle. Do not be fooled by what your eyes see or what your ears hear. God does not operate in the natural. He is the master of the impossible. He speaks and the seas part. He commands and dry bones rise. He breathes and what was dead comes back to life. So if it looks impossible, it's exactly the kind of situation heaven specializes in. Maybe you're standing before a Red Sea and the army of fear is chasing you down. Maybe you're surrounded by a fiery furnace of anxiety, depression, and confusion. Or maybe you're like the widow with nothing left but a little oil and a little faith. Whatever your condition, don't give up. Hold on. Because it is in the 11th hour that the impossible becomes reality. The enemy wants you to quit right before your breakthrough. He wants you to let go when you're one prayer away, one act of faith away, one midnight away from the light breaking through. But the word says, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. You may be weak now, but strength is coming. You may feel surrounded now, but deliverance is on the way. You may be walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but remember, it's just a shadow. The light is still shining. When everything around you seems to be crumbling, when the odds are stacked so high that hope feels like a distant whisper, that is often the moment when the impossible is closest to being undone. The human heart tends to give up when it sees no way forward, but that is precisely the space where divine intervention begins to work. It is in the darkest nights that the light becomes most visible, and it is in the most impossible situations that the greatest miracles take place. There are countless moments in life when all logical options seem exhausted. Maybe it's the loss of a job, a broken relationship, a devastating diagnosis, or an overwhelming financial burden. So these situations leave a person feeling helpless and small in the face of something so much bigger than themselves. But what if that moment of despair is not the end, but a turning point? What if it's the stage being set for something extraordinary? The pattern has always been the same. Before a miracle happens, there is usually a moment when the outcome appears hopeless. When the Red Sea stood before the Israelites, there was no human way forward. When the storm raged around the disciples on the sea, their fear grew because they believed they would drown. In these moments, no human plan could succeed. Yet, these are the exact points where the impossible was shattered, where the sea split and the storm calmed. These examples aren't just stories from ancient times. They're reminders that the same power that moved back then is still at work today. The reason the impossible matters is because it proves what human effort cannot. If something is merely difficult, we might be able to overcome it with enough strategy or strength. But when something is truly impossible, beyond logic, beyond science, beyond effort, that's when divine power is revealed. That's when it becomes clear that what happened didn't come from man, but from something greater. So when your situation looks impossible, don't lose hope. Don't turn away or give up. Instead, hold on tighter. The very resistance you're facing might be the sign that something is about to shift. The presence of the impossible is not the signal of defeat, but the signal that you're on the edge of something miraculous. There is purpose in the waiting, and there is power in the perseverance. Every storm ends. Every wall eventually falls. Every mountain has a summit. The breakthrough you need might be closer than you think, not in spite of the impossible, but because of it. So stand firm, keep believing, and remember, the impossible is the perfect environment for the miraculous. Hold on, because what seems unmovable today can be transformed in a single moment. A single moment. Faith is not just a feeling. It is a decision to believe even when everything around you says not to. It's easy to have faith when life is going according to plan, when doors are opening and blessings are flowing. But the real measure of faith is how it holds up under pressure, when prayers seem unanswered, when silence is louder than words, and when it feels like heaven has gone quiet. These are the seasons where faith is forged, not in comfort, but in resistance. To hold on when the answers don't come is one of the most powerful things a person can do. It means trusting that what has been spoken over your life still holds true, even if nothing around you confirms it. It means choosing to believe that there is a bigger picture unfolding, even if the current chapter feels confusing or painful. Faith in these moments becomes a quiet strength, a deep anchor that keeps the soul steady in a storm. This kind of faith does not rely on feelings. Feelings are temporary and unreliable, especially when going through trials. But faith, true, enduring faith, is a choice that rises above emotion. It says, I don't see the way, but I trust the one who does. It chooses peace in the middle of uncertainty and worship in the middle of waiting. That kind of faith is rare, but it is exactly what opens the door to the impossible. Often the time of waiting is not a delay. It is preparation. What feels like silence is sometimes the period where foundations are being laid for something much greater. It is in the stillness that trust deepens. It is in the waiting that strength is renewed. Even when you feel like you're doing nothing, something powerful is happening inside you. Your faith is being refined like gold in fire. Faith also requires surrender. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrender in the sense of letting go of your limited understanding and embracing trust in a higher plan. Sometimes we think that we must figure it all out or that we must carry the burden alone, but faith releases that weight. It allows you to rest even when you're not yet delivered. It lets you breathe even when the breakthrough hasn't arrived. You may not know how things will work out. You may not see the path clearly right now, but that's okay. You are not required to have all the answers. You are only called to trust. One step at a time, one breath at a time, one prayer at a time. This is how the impossible is conquered. Not all at once, but through steady, unwavering faith that refuses to let go. Hold on, because your faith is doing more than you realize. It is moving things in the unseen. It is preparing the ground for something extraordinary. When life closes in and every door appears locked, it's easy to assume that nothing is happening. But in truth, the greatest miracles often begin in silence, behind the scenes and out of sight. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean progress isn't being made. There are seasons when the work being done is not visible to the human eye, yet it is the most critical stage of transformation. It is the root before the fruit, the preparation before the unveiling, the stillness before the breakthrough. Consider how seeds operate. They are planted deep beneath the surface in the darkness of the soil where no one sees the growth happening. But it is precisely there, in the waiting, that life begins to stir. Roots grow strong and deep to support what will one day break through the surface. The same principle applies to human lives. Sometimes when nothing seems to be changing externally, everything is actually changing internally. Growth is happening, endurance is developing, and the foundation for the impossible is being laid. In these moments, patience becomes power. It is not passive, but fiercely active. It chooses to believe, to wait, to trust, even when the world offers no guarantees. Patience declares that you are willing to hold space for the miraculous, to trust that there is a divine timing greater than your own. This kind of waiting is not idle. It's hopeful, expectant, and filled with quiet strength. It's the decision to keep showing up, to keep praying, to keep hoping, even when the situation looks unchanged. Often the invisible work being done is also a form of protection. There are things you may not be ready for yet, doors that would have harmed you had they opened too soon. There are people who are being prepared to enter your life at the right moment, just as you are being prepared for them. Timing isn't just about delay, it's about alignment. Everything is being arranged with precision so that when the miracle does arrive, you are ready to receive it. During these hidden seasons, faithfulness in the small things matters more than ever. How you respond when no one's watching, how you continue to be grateful even in lack, how you speak life even when surrounded by silence. These actions shape your character and invite the impossible into your story. The unseen battles you win now will one day be the testimonies that inspire others. What you can't see is not proof that God has forgotten you. On the contrary, it's often a sign that he is working more deeply and thoroughly than you imagined. Trust that when the time is right, the invisible will become visible, the impossible will become reality, and everything you endured will make perfect sense. Until then, stay faithful, stay expectant, and know that the silence is not empty. Yeah, it is full of promise. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply hold on. Life will test every fiber of your strength. It will push you to the edge, shake your confidence, and make you question everything you once believed. But in those moments of deep uncertainty, when giving up seems like the only logical choice, something sacred happens when you choose not to let go. Holding on is not weakness. It is courage. It is faith in action. It's saying with your life, even though I don't see the way, I still believe there is one. Endurance is not about perfection. It is not about never doubting, never crying, or never questioning. It is about showing up anyway. It is about pressing on with tears in your eyes and hope in your heart. It is about trusting that the story isn't over, even when it feels like the final chapter has already been written. Holding on means choosing faith over fear, even if that faith feels fragile. It is a defiant act of hope that refuses to give the enemy the final word. When everything around you is crumbling and nothing seems to make sense, that's often when you are closest to your breakthrough. The enemy loves to stir chaos just before your miracle arrives. He knows that if he can convince you to quit, you'll never see what was waiting on the other side of your perseverance. But if you can hold on a little longer, if you can trust that your pain has a purpose, then the storm will pass and you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever before. Sometimes the strength to hold on doesn't come from within. It comes from above. In your weakness, divine strength is made perfect. There is a supernatural grace available to those who refuse to quit. You are not alone in your struggle. Every tear you've cried has been seen. Every prayer you've whispered has been heard. And every moment you've endured has not gone unnoticed. Help is closer than you think. The very moment you feel like you can't go any further may be the moment when the impossible begins to shift in your favor. And even if the situation doesn't change immediately, something inside you does. Holding on shapes your character. It reveals your capacity for faith, patience, and trust. It connects you to something greater than your circumstances. In the process, you become more than just a survivor. You become a testimony. Your story becomes proof that the darkest nights do not have the power to extinguish the light within. The truth is, you don't have to have it all figured out to keep going. You just have to make the decision that you will not let go. One step at a time, one prayer at a time, one breath at a time. And if you keep holding on, what once looked impossible will become a powerful reminder that endurance opens the door to the miraculous. The message is clear and powerful, no matter how impossible things may seem. Holding on is never in vain. When you choose not to give up, even in your lowest moments, you invite the supernatural into your natural situation. Your endurance is not just survival. It is preparation for breakthrough. The impossible becomes possible not because of your strength, but because of your faith. So when everything says to let go, hold on, because the one who sees your struggle is the same one who will turn it into your story of victory. The promise still stands. Just hold on. Hold on.